Okay. Question says 11 to the power of 9.
Yep.
And then 1 over 11
yep.
to the power of 7, right?
Yep.
Now the rule works, you have x to the power of a times x to the power of b.
You add them.
Yeah, you just add them, right? But the bases have to be the same.
Yeah.
Well, on this one, our bases are different. But it doesn't mean we can't manipulate it to make it the same. How could I turn the second base into the same as the first base? Do you know?
You'd have a negative exponent.
Yeah, so let's just turn it to a negative exponent. It's still technically the exact same thing.
Okay.
11 to the negative 7.
Oh, wow,
now the bases are the same. Add them together. Looking at 11 to 2. Okay, so let's see first one. Say x to the 7th. Okay. Any square root, technically a square root is this, right? So we had square root x. That can be represented as an exponent.
Oh, 1 over 2.
1 over 2.
I knew that.
So this is the third root.
So 7 over 3, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got it already. Yeah. So third root is 1 over 3. This one would be 7 over 3 as a fraction. How simple, you got that quick. So technically this question here, the root of p, the 11th, you do the inside of the brackets first. So really this should say p to the half. And then we go back to our old rule where we multiply exponents, right? So I multiply exponents. When I multiply a fraction, I do the top. Technically that's what it is a fraction.
Okay.
Top of them. So it is 11 over 2. But just make sure you know it's because you have to multiply the exponents. There's that extra step in there, okay? So whenever you get that, you want to turn your decimals into fractions. So what do you got? M to the 1.5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's turn that into a fraction. 1.5 as a fraction is 125 over 100.
Okay.
Let's just reduce it. I could divide by 25, both of them, right? And that would be 5 over 4. So that's what they're talking about. M to the 5 over 4. And then if you were, for some reason, they wanted it in radical form, it would, yeah, so then that's the root of 4, right?
5.
And then 5 with the M. So that's your final answer. Just turn decimals into fractions.
Okay.
That's all they want you to do with those. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so technically what I do is just deal with the top of it first. You can almost break this up into 2 different fractions. This line in between means divided by.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to actually split it. I'm going to turn this into 81 to the negative. Now, I'm going to turn that into a fraction. I know that that's going to be a quarter. 0.25 is a fraction. Is a quarter. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Divide it by, so I just changed that sign. And I'm going to turn this into an exponent fraction also. If that's to the root of 3, so that's to the third. Yeah. Then I'll deal with this. So this is going to say technically 1 over 81 to the 4th. So it's the 4th root. Divide it by, well, instead of doing the divide it by, I'm going to turn this, when you divide fractions, yeah. So what this will actually say is multiply, it should say 1 over negative 125. That way we can multiply these. That's our fraction rules. Do you remember fraction rules? Yeah. So then when I go to apply this in, technically both of these are to the power of 1. So I can actually multiply it in. The 4th root of 1 is going to be 1. And the 4th root of 81, well, we'll just keep it for now. We don't know what that's going to be. So I don't really have to apply it to the 1. It's not going to change anything on the 1. And the same thing happened here. When I go to the 1/3, the 3rd root of 1 is still 1. It doesn't change anything. It's only going to change this number here.
But you're only applying that exponent to the bottom.
Yeah, on that one I only applying it to the bottom on that one. But if I were, it wouldn't have made a difference. Yeah, it wouldn't have made a difference. So in the end, I'm left with 1 over 81 to the 4th root. I'm just going to have it on the bottom. And you can,
3.
yeah, you can evaluate those ones with your calculator. So that's going to end up being 3.
Yep.
Your other one should be negative 5, I think. 1 over, is it negative 5? I'm thinking it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, negative 5. And then it becomes a simple multiplication fraction. So 1 over negative 15. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to remember your fraction rules with a lot of this stuff. Otherwise, it gets complicated to put together. So I just made that a little easier to look at. What really could have happened is you could have gone from this step here and then just put the 81 at the bottom. And that would have made that positive. But this all would have been over 1. So it would have been the 4th root. And then it would have been 1, 2. But this one's a little more, it's a harder step to jump to. This one's a little more confusing. Technically, it's the exact same as what we did. All it is, because that's negative, I brought it to the bottom half of the fraction. Okay, you can think of it like that. If the bottom part had, the exponent had been negative down here, so if this exponent had been negative, then I would have brought that to the top half of the fraction and just made the exponent positive. Okay. Because it was already in fraction form. Okay, but that's a hard leap sometimes, so...
You'll post this video, right?
Yeah, okay. You'll post this, so you can watch this one again, all right?